easiest things you can do to stand out as a great candidate is ask your interviewer great questions at the end of your interview. But most candidates don't do this. In fact, most candidates bring no questions to the end, or the questions they bring aren't great. In today's video, I'm going to give you 5 powerful questions you can ask in your interview that are going to impress the person who works for CVS who is interviewing you, is going to help you stand out as a great candidate. Now, this is video 4 in a 5-part series. So if this is the first video you are seeing, make sure you go back and you watch the previous videos. You can find the playlist on my YouTube channel. And at the very end of this video, I'm actually going to direct you to the 5th and final video. I'll put a link up right here at the very end. So make sure you watch to the end so you can go there. All right, let's get started. Okay, so why does everybody talk about this? Why is it important? Well, hiring managers, recruiters, HR people, they're going to ask you a bunch of questions. And at some point in the interview, they're going to turn it over to you and ask you if you have any questions. And if you don't have any questions, or the questions you have are bad, they are going to assume that 1, you just don't care about this opportunity. It's not important to you. You're not seriously considering it, so you don't have questions. Or 2, you did not prepare, meaning you didn't prioritize this. So asking great questions is an easy way to stand out. Some of you are saying, okay, great, but what questions are those? I'm going to get into them right now so you can have great questions to ask during your interview. Now, the first question is, what does this person need to accomplish in the first 90 days for you to consider this hire to be a success? This is a great question because it gets them talking about positivity. It gets them talking about, well, Ben, what you need to do is you need to do A, B, and C. Or the person's going to have to come in and do A, B, and C. And then you can reaffirm and go, yeah, that makes sense. Those are things that I've done before in previous roles, and I feel well equipped to do that. But it's a great question because it is strategic. You're asking, what do I need to do in order for this to be a successful hire? That is a great question. It is a smart question, and it'll set you apart as a good candidate. By the way, if you're finding value in this video, do me a favor and hit that like button. It is free for you, but it helps my channel out a ton, and it motivates me to make more videos like this. And if you're already willing to do that, well, then you might as well hit subscribe. The next question is, what does onboarding and training look like for somebody who joins your team? This is a great question because what you're basically asking here is, how am I going to be equipped to be successful? This is good information for you to have. You should never accept a job without knowing, okay, well, what are they going to do to make sure when I start with them, it's going to go well? Do they have a plan? I want to know people have a plan if I'm going to accept a job, but it also makes you look like a strategic thinker. So it's another question that makes you stand out as a good candidate. The next question is, how would you describe your store's culture? This is a great question to ask because it's going to give this person the ability to paint a picture of what their store's culture looks like. And it's either going to be something that impresses you or something that doesn't impress you. And you want to make sure that it's aligned with your vision of the type of store you want to be actually joining. And then once they say that, it gives you the opportunity to be like, wow, that sounds great. That's exactly the type of environment I'm looking for. And I feel like I'd be a good fit based on what you just told me. That's a great response. It's going to let them know, hey, what you said, it resonates with me and I am interested. The next question is, what are the skills and behaviors you feel are important for someone to come into this role and succeed? This is basically just asking them, what do you prioritize? What skills do you think are important? What are behaviors that make people successful for your team? It's really good because you want to understand if they actually know that, right? Does your manager understand what it takes to make someone be successful? What are the skills or the behaviors? Additionally, they're going to tell you things like attention to detail, being a good teammate, follow through, etc., whatever it is that they value. And then you can let them know in this interview and in future interviews, if there are more, that you possess those skills and traits. So if they say, attention to detail is something that's really important, I think that has been a distinguishing factor in what makes someone a success here. You can then go, that is really good to hear. One of the things that I think has always set me apart is my attention to detail. I think it's the attention to detail and the little things that lead to success overall. So in my past roles that are similar to this, I've made sure that I'm always really consistent when it comes to monitoring the details, etc., right? You're basically affirming what they say, letting them know that you also place value on that, but it's also something that you also have, right? You have this ability, you have this skill, you have this trait, etc. So it's a great opportunity to have them kind of, share with you and articulate what makes someone good here, for you to affirm it and for you to let them know that you also possess those traits. This next question is a closing question, and it's something you ask at the very end. So it's the last question you ask, and it goes, do you have any questions or concerns about my ability to do the job? 2 things are going to happen here, one of 2. One, they're going to go, no, I don't have any concerns. I think you'd be a good fit. At which point you let them know that you are interested in their role. Well, that's really great to hear. I feel like I'd be a good fit too. I'm really interested in next steps. Thank you for your time today. I look forward to talking to you. Something like that, right? Like you're just going to let them know, hey, that's great. I feel I'd be a good fit and I'm excited about next steps. Convey that. Or two, they'll go, well, yeah, actually, yeah, I do have a concern. I think that you seem like a good candidate overall, but I didn't notice you have any blank in your background. At which point, you have the ability to counter it. And if you never asked this question, you would have never have this chance. But because you did, you get a chance to counter their concern. But you want to make sure you do it in a way that isn't offensive, right? You want to come off as going, thank you for sharing that with me. I don't know if I did as good a job as I should have of sharing parts of my background. I actually do have A, B, and C. In my background, when I worked for XYZ company, about 50% of my role was actually blank. And you can actually, counter what they're saying. You have to make sure that you thank them for the feedback and you are not defensive and you make a solid case that you do have it in your background in a brief explanation. You don't want to drone on for minutes and minutes and minutes. You want to let them know, thank you. I didn't do a good job of explaining this. I actually do have this and blank, blank, blank. And if you do that, you can actually effectively counter their concern. Now, there's one more thing that I think you really need to do in your interview, and that's you need to show them that you are a great culture fit for their store, for their location. That's why I made this video here. This video here, I'm going to go over what their values are and then how you can go about showing them in the interview you're a good culture fit. Most candidates don't do this, but if you do it, you're going to stand out.